Sometimes what is gets so much of your attention that you lose your excited anticipation of that which is coming. Even though what is the contrast that helps you to discern what you want, sometimes you seem to feel like you need it all to be just right now. And we say, if that could ever be, and it can't, then how would you ever reach for more? And there is something so important about reaching for more, because the expansion of the universe and the continuation of all that is dependent upon that reaching. The desire that is born within you is the calling forth of the energy that creates worlds. And so this continuum happens because leading edge creators like you, exploring contrast and defining and discovering new desires, even if you can't speak them, they're within you. And as the new desire explodes within you, vibrationally, it calls for Source to answer it. And all of that happens without your conscious awareness. So as the desire is born and the expansion happens, it is wonderful when you are in the place of allowing the expansion to happen to you. But if the contrast that has given birth to your desire, the contrast that causes the explosion of the desire, the summoning of the energy, the expansion of the universe, if that contrast is affecting you in a way where you are unhappy with where you stand, complaining about where you are, hoping that it will get better, but more aware of what is than anticipating what is coming, then you hold yourself, without even knowing it, vibrationally apart from the very thing you're asking for. Because in this universe, law of attraction is the manager. And what that means is you cannot set your radio dial to 98.6 and listen to the songs that are being broadcast on 101. You've got to line your receiver up with the transmitter in order to have the connection. And you have to line your day-to-day vibration, which many call belief. We call it your vibrational vantage point. We call it your point of awareness. We call it whatever you are giving your attention to. You've got to line your personal receiving vibration up with the vibration of your own desire in order for that which you desire to be received by you. Not a hard thing to understand when you think in terms of the radio. Sometimes a little harder when you think in terms of your personal life experience, because you have forgotten, most of you, that you are vibrational beings. You've forgotten that you are energy beings. You think that you are the flesh, blood, and bone that you see. And while you certainly are that, you are so much more. You are extensions of source energy. You are vibrational, electronic, spiritual energy extensions of that which is source. And when you are vibrationally in alignment with that which is your source, you are soaring, you are thriving, you are living in love and in joy and in appreciation. You are clear-minded, you are radiant, you are living as you intended to live. But if you find yourself focused upon something, even though it is really real, even though it is really true, even though you've got the facts, the statistics, the evidence, as you focus upon those real things that are absolutely true that you do not want, you practice the vibration of them, and as you practice the vibration of those true things you don't want, you hold yourself vibrationally apart from those true things you do want. We tease our friends, we say, which do you choose of these two choices, something that feels good or something that feels bad? And almost everyone says, I choose what feels good. When we say, what do you choose? Something that is true or something that is untrue? Oh, that one's even easier for you to answer. Something that is true. That's the appropriate thing. But when we say, do you choose something that feels good or something that is true? That's when so many lie to us. They've learned from listening to our recordings that we want them to say, I choose what feels good. But deep down inside, they worry. They should tell it like it is. And we say, tell it like it is by all means if like it is feels good. But if you are telling it like it is and like it is does not feel good, then you are holding yourself vibrationally apart from something that you would prefer. And law of attraction cannot yield to you other than what you are practicing vibrationally. So, who are you as a vibrational being? How would you know that? How would you know what your vibrational output is? There are two ways. One is you can look at what's manifesting because it always matches. And the other is you can pay attention to the way you feel. Sometimes you say, well, when I look at what's manifesting, it's a mixed message because in some areas of my life I'm doing rather well, and in other areas of my life I'm not doing so well. So how do you explain that? And we say, how do you explain that? It has to be what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, what you're giving your attention to. As you begin to pay attention to the things that you find yourself often saying, and to the feelings that you find yourself often feeling, there are very big clues about what you are doing vibrationally, because it is just this simple. What feels good is. And there are a lot of people that say, oh, Abraham, please don't say that out loud. Please don't teach our children that they should do what feels good. And we say, you've got to be kidding. You were born with this guidance system. You were born with this emotional guidance system to let you know in every moment of every day, whether your thought, word, or deed, in this moment where you are focused is in alignment with who you really are. And if it is, you feel so wonderful. You are full of clarity and love and appreciation. You are full of that thriving stability that only happens when you are in alignment with who you really are. But when you feel negative emotion, whether you call it fear or anger or frustration, it does not matter the name of it. When you feel that which you describe as negative emotion, what it means every single time is that you are giving your attention to something that is vibrationally so different from your source that you are not in full receipt right now of your source. That's all. That's all. So we call this gathering the art of allowing. And the reason that we call it the art of allowing is because it is the art of remembering to allow who you really are. Sometimes our friends in physical form misunderstand allowing. They think that what allowing means, they think that what we are purporting with the idea of allowing is, you just look around and you find rotten things that you would not want, and you just put up with them. You allow them anyway. And we say, what allowing is allowing who you are to be focused within you. Allowing means finding a way right now to allow the fullness of who you are to flow. Sometimes you hear it more easily, rather than talking about the path of greatest allowance, to talk about the path of least resistance. And really it makes no difference to us which way you call it, because they are one and the same thing. When you are allowing your source to flow, you are not resisting your source to flow. And so what you're really looking for is a way to feel the best right now. So when we talk about the path of least resistance, what we're talking about is, how can I, right now, in my physical body, find a way of right now allowing the fullness of who I am to flow? How can I allow well-being? How can I allow prosperity? How can I allow the gentle, comfortable, delicious unfolding of my relationships, or of my work environment, or of my business empire, or my career? How can I allow the thriving that is natural? How can I allow my best interest to happen right now? And we say the way you do it is by paying attention to the way you feel, and moment by moment choosing the allowing thought. Sometimes you think that when we talk about the path of least resistance or the path of greatest allowance, that what we're talking about is, so here you stand at this turning point where you're either going to stay with this person or you're going to leave. And you say, I can't find the path of least resistance. I don't know what the path of least resistance is, because there are advantages to staying and there are advantages to going. And sometimes I want to stay and sometimes I want to go. How do I know which is the path of least resistance? And we say, You are misusing the concept, because we are not talking about choosing the path of least resistance in action, not right now anyway. We're talking about first choosing the path of least resistance relative to the idea or the thought and which feels best. So as you start playing the idea of, well, what is my path of least resistance? So you're standing, let's say you've just had an argument with someone that you care about. And you feel awful, and you know you are not in the place of allowing. You feel awful. You're smart enough to know you can't feel that bad and be allowing good. So you think, somebody should do something about that. And since the other one apparently isn't going to, I guess it's up to me. And we say, always true. And then you say, what is my path of least resistance? So you say, that person should behave differently. And it doesn't make you feel better, it makes you feel worse. And then you say, we've had this discussion many, many times, and I don't know why it is so hard to get what I want relative to this. And we say, more resistance. And sometimes you find yourself, without even meaning to, sometimes it's deliberate, usually not, escalating what feels worse in order to justify where you stand. You feel defensive because things aren't going the way you want them to, and it feels like you should explain to somebody why things aren't going better. And so you get in this defensive mode where you deliberately make it worse in order to explain to somebody why you're so mad. Because every part of you knows, from every level of your being, that this raise in blood pressure, this discomfort in your body, this tension that's coming over you, this headache that is pounding, this fragmented mind that is happening to you, you know at all levels of your being that this is not who you are. And we understand a bit why you might want to escalate your justification for feeling that way in order to set everything right in the universe. But what we want you to begin to play with is, if you would, instead of deliberately escalating in order to defend your position, you would deliberately escalate what makes you feel better, then you could set aside all of that wild goose chasing that you do, because ultimately what you're reaching for is feeling better every time anyway. As we are moving forward here today, chewing with you about anything that is important to you, you will notice that it is our mission to assist you in finding the path of least resistance. We're going to help you look at things, sometimes even off the subject a little bit it might feel to you. We're going to do anything and everything that we can do to help you find a less resistant stance, because we know that that's all you need to do in order to have anything that you want relative to any subject. Because well-being wants you. That's the thing that seems to be all mixed up in so many of your minds. Humans sometimes, it seems, believe that well-being is a rare thing that you have to struggle to achieve, and that bad things are out there looming and lurking around every corner, and if you're not vigilant, that they're going to get you. And we want you to understand that that is exactly backwards. Well-being is the order of your life. And if you're not doing that thing you do that keeps the well-being from coming in relative to different subjects, well-being is there and there and there and there and there and there and there, constantly unfolding, surprising and delighting, always there, because you have a huge staff of non-physical energies aware of you and assisting you in all that is important to you. Now, we know that there are all kinds of worthiness issues and things that you've been carrying around for a while that keep you from really believing that well-being is the natural order of your day. But we think anyone with a little bit of reasoning ability could look around and acknowledge that well-being does dominate in your life, no matter who you are or where you stand. Well-being is the order of this universe. And you have to work pretty hard at nitpicking over stuff in order to pinch that off to any degree at all. Well-being is what is natural to you.